Hello, everyone. We've got ourselves one of the tournament semifinal games here in the All Hands on Deck tournament. In the Meow Tag Team 1 ANS, we have got the Colon 3 team consisting of Scapegoat as a sub in Hive Gender, Tavi, and Internet Spaceships. Squaring off against them in the orange trunks over here representing the OSP. It is 1-800 Got Hellbombed. Their team consists of Blackbat, Flynn, Duke of Stars, and Scrubbus. So we're going to see what they do here. This is game 1 taking place on Blood Moon Remastered. Looks like we got some ANS deployment favoring this 8-point side over here. They do enjoy that open space, able to dodge around with those Raider tribes and keep themselves very evasive using those long-range guns. Loving the Meow Tag as well, just the matching uniforms. Not quite perfectly matching over... Oh, no, they did correct at the last second. The BSCO tag here coming in. So both teams wearing the appropriate heraldry. I love seeing that. OSP in turn looking like they're going to favor the B side of the map right now, going for their naturals here, the E and D points respectively. High Seas may be a battle point. We see a couple of craft being deployed over there, but I think this is going to be both teams deploying on the offset, rotating away from each other and then deciding how they want to press forwards once they get their initial securements. All right, I'm going to take myself a sippy of coffee as this is going to be a fun little series. Remember, best of 3, so we could have 2 or 3 games. We got 1 minute on the clock. Lock it in. Tavi, Flynn, and Scrubbus just being the last ones to ready up. Remember that this tournament is also playing for keeps. Grand prizes, I believe, are going to be a collection of Nebulous-themed plushies, so you can look forward to seeing some of those things being represented. I believe Tournament Organization has posted pictures of those. At least there was the work-in-progress ones. Very much looking forward to seeing who ends up getting those. Seeing the last kind of like deployment ideas here. Kitten Devourer, Kitten Railer. All right, you certainly have some opinions here. Coming in with the pre-cooked names here going against the Meow Colon 3 fleets. 30 seconds to go on the board, just waiting for Flynn and Scrubbus to lock it in and finally decide on their stuff. There we go, Scrubbus is locked in. Let's see if Flynn does it before the last second here. Yeah, just the names of the ships here. We got Kitten Devourer and Kitten Railer over here, so fun little stuff. All right, come on, lock it in, load it up. Ironic our tag is dog and yours is cat. They're just going with that. All right, final deployments. Let's go through these fleets real quick, taking a look at the initial deployment here. We're going to see ourselves a bulk freighter. Very nice, 450 broadside on that with T20 secondary batteries. Good stuff on this thing. All right, and let's make sure I set up everything right. Yep, looks like we are going good. Okay, let us get into the game proper. Taking a look. Oh, dear God, it's CL Central. Okay, let's take a look over here. We have got 1, 2, 3 triple CLs coming in here. The Bleu is like... They're all named Bleu. Okay, these have 250s on them. Defenders, chat box on the back. This thing is VLS2. Got itself some Naganatas for anti-craft munitions, and looks like... Yep, no backpack on that one. All right, that is from Tavi. Let's take a look where they deployed up top here. Got Hive Gender coming down below as well. Looks like they've got similar style loadout, Bullseye and a VLS2. Yep, more of those Naganatas. Likely same fleet, if I had to guess, just sharing the file over. This is going to be a very interesting cavalry rush game. All right, we got another triple Voxel down here, looking about the same on these guys. Chaff box on the back of one. This one has got some blanket jammers, apparently chaff box as well. And then this one got, yep, looks like pretty similar loadouts. Okay, then lastly, Scapegoat can be mixing it up a little bit. They've got themselves a Corvette going along with them. Yeah, this one has size 2 backpack. Let's see, what's that got? Active decoys and SDMs. All right, so we got another one over here. Interrupted jammer on the back of this one. Gonna see one of these things, EWAR device, blankets, hangups, and stuff. And then lastly, a little Bullseye Corvette going down to secure the natural. Oops, all in on the CL front, going towards 8 point. This is going to be a very interesting game, very fast. Duke of Stars coming over here. Looks like they're going to be dropping in with, well, what was initially a plan to send 3 shuttles over here. T20 devices on these with some comms. Ooh, full soft kill suite on this thing, by the looks of it. Good stuff there. Trying to go towards 8 point. Decided to think twice after seeing all those flares deploy over there. Let's see. Duke of Stars had 1, 2... Oh, they've got another formation of 3 down here. Looks like similar style. GG is being called as the obligatory joke as soon as they step onto the point there. I gotta love the inside jokes in the Neb community. Anyways, there should be a 3rd fleet of these around somewhere. There we go. So, got another shuttle over here. Just basic old gun shuttle there onto the E point. They've got naked shuttle going towards B point here. And then naked shuttle going towards C point, which is completely uncontested right now. What's Flynn got? Flynn has got themselves a 450 Acello over here. Looks pretty standard. Illuminators on the side to punch through jamming. Good stuff. 450 package all around. I like it. It's the Kitten Devourer, and the Kitten Railer is going to be a rail cello back here. Got some sidearm VLS2s, anti-craft munitions on this thing. Energy Regulators making this thing very powerful, putting those rail rounds downrange into the nose of these capital ships. Going to be liking to see those. Scrub is coming in with a 450 broadsider here, flipped over, got those T20 secondary batteries. Pause firing currently on the B point in case something walks onto that is going to quickly be undone, but there's nothing over there. They got themselves a second one in formation along with it. And then lastly in the back, little telescopic tug over here with the Bloodhound keeping an eye on things. Finally, we're going to see a Black Bat coming out here. They've got themselves a carrier, 3K more line by the looks of it. Got the full hanger bank deals. All right, just basic internals here. Take a look at it. Yep, that is Barracuda maxed out in here. Just all of those things. Barracudas, a couple of skiffs as well. Just kind of do some scouting of radar and stuff. Scapegoat saying, well, yeah, GG's. Apparently they're capping the points and stuff. Everyone's having a little bit of confusion as right now the OSP has no idea what the ANS is doing. This is going to be a good game. You know what? Honestly, the semifinal stage, first game, absolutely do this. This is hilarious. I love it when teams get to do fun stuff like this. Nebulous, again, it's a video game. Make sure you're having fun with it. Duke of Stars is over here. Got one of their 450 broadsiders. Didn't cover this in the cap fleet, but it is a tech you can do, dedicating a decent chunk of your points, going cheaper with the shuttles and stuff. This thing is going to quickly discover how much damage Triple CL does to you, as it is immediately getting lit up here. It is in the wrong arc and going to be jammed out, as we see here by those blanket jammers. The boy fleet is going to be moving its way up and just dumping rounds downrange here. Still, for the moment, the better part of the damage looks like it is being evaded. Couple of glancing shots kind of going off here. Maybe actually deflecting off of the armor. I'm not sure if the armor is actually thick enough on that angle or not. Should be seeing more damage here. A little bit of RPF being swapped over. Not quite sure what this track is quite yet. Needs to get out of here, realizing just how much firepower is being levied against a singular ship there. In turn, the OSP is going to be advancing on this side of the map, seeing them already moving towards that B point. They've gotten the C cap here. Nothing was sent to contest it. D point was the singular bullseye shuttle just kind of hanging out down there. Should be only a matter of time before Duke of Stars decides to try and poke that. ANS got their initial rush off. They're going to secure the A point here. Question is, what do they do? All of these CLs are incredibly fast and hard hitting, and if they can get that damage in before the enemy team is able to counter rotate, then they can do a very, very nasty snowball effect. The question is, how fast does the OSP realize what is up and then quickly switch over their aggression from this kind of B side and C point here into squaring off against the enemy front line that's beamlining towards them?
The enemy secured Zone Atlas.
Caps are going off here on the board, just taking a look over here. Going to see the, this is the 450 SL. This thing will be quite good against the incoming Triple CL. This is such a good moment to look out at this. Just take a look at the cinematography of this. I love the lighting on this level, just the illumination you get from that kind of like glowy halo ring over there. You see now more of the voxels just as they continue to advance along here. If there was ever a match to sell the voxel to the Fleet Command and the Alliance Naval offices, this might be it. We'll find out if it's a good sales pitch or not, depending on their performance. All right, the 450 broadsider has been going to ground here now, correctly evading those incoming forces. Deciding not to pick a fight. Discretion is the better part of valor there. 3 cap goes off for the OSP, 2 cap for the ANS, and they're just going to sit on that comfortably for the moment. We should see, yep, over here, Black Bat is going to be trying to get themselves out of trouble, as they do know that this entire flank is going to be pushing towards them. Lack of radar awareness on the OSP side is a bit of a issue. No early warning radars to detect this incoming force. In fact, I believe that these are currently undetected. Yeah, no scouting skiffs and no sign of those, where were they? Yeah, these scouting skiffs or the early warning radar, or just even like a multi-mission tug or something to detect what is incoming this way. So all of this force is going to be advancing currently right now unseen. It's possible that these skiffs might actually have the wake detection module. Can't really tell at the moment. Kit and Devour are going to be finding the enemy here. It is getting its 450s on target. There's the initial rails going off. 450 broadside are going to be trying to evade at this moment. There we go, seeing those rails. The 3-round burst of the rail cell are going to be doing quite good stuff here, as we see already a number of fires being started. 7 of them, they just run stem to stern into this thing, preventing bow tanking quite good. You see the jamming and counter jamming, the Illumination trying to improve radar returns here so that they can keep a bullseye lock on target. In turn, though, it's not going to be quite enough. One of them, it does manage to get locked, but still is going to be constantly breaking as more of these jammers are going to be kicking on here. Voxels working together in tandem, trying to see off some of these threats. You see a flight of 10 fighters over here. These are just equipped with 35mm flechette and jam pods, meant to do air control duty, but unfortunately, there is nothing really for them to attack in the skies right now. I will point out to people that there is, for performance reasons, a 3,000 point carrier limit enforced, so each team can only bring 3,000 points of that, so this would be a more line or a 3,000 point levy associated. Going to be seeing over here the 450 start to bark. The Bouin is going to be taking some damage here, but the other Bouin is going to be all right. The other Bouin is going to be untouched. But still, goes to show these CLs are a little bit fragile when facing off against these larger calibers. The full broadside of the bulk freighter they're going to be opening up, along with the rails and the Ocello in the back there. Still, though, lost among the, what is this thing's full name? Lost among the Forgotten something. Lost among the Forgotten Moons here is going to be suffering a little bit of battle damage that starts to bite into it. Does have some magazines taking a bit of damage there, rapid lockers too. Not the most yet, but still going to see 6 of these CLs trying to get into the fight here. Down below, this is coming in from Internet Spaceships. They're committing onto target now, seeing what they can get done. At the same time, we're going to see further down the map, Scapegoat moving their way towards the E point here, trying to go for that push and swing. Hive Gender hanging back a little bit here along with Tabby. They really need to leverage their tonnage available right now. There's 6 Vauxhalls that could just hold down the pedal and try and get into this thing. Could start seeing some of that damage add up shortly. It is locked onto and starting to eat some shots. There we go. That's the damage starting to add up here. Bulk magazine is sniped out of this thing. Does have a reinforced mag keeping it functional, but still. This mount of 250, you got to be really concerned because you can see an asset like this Bulk Freighter get shot incredibly fast. Ruby Flight is trying to play evasively right now, eating some RPF from internet spaceships, keeping their attention for the moment. Not really any threat going on right now. We need to see what the fighter controllers are going to be doing. We see air control setup loaded up on these guys. They need to quickly identify what is the situation here, realize that there is no threat to the fighters in the sky. Have to swap over and commit onto doing bombing duty to see off these threats. Seeing over here, Panther Flight, they have got some with these SGM-1s and Naganatas. Yep, so just all of these things being set up to go against enemy fighter craft, none of them being prepared for the sheer mass of Vauxhalls, as we're going to see a whole bunch of Naganata and RPF starting to find purchase on this flight. Yeah, these Leechcraft going to be getting seen off. Reminder, this is still on the live branch right now, so these could be committed onto bomb duty. Unfortunately, there is no bomb load as I click on them right now. They're quickly discovering just how much RPF hurts en masse as all of these CLs are going to be unloading their payload into this wing here, seeing them off there. Potentially could have been a bombing run, so correct target prioritization is going off there. More and more of the RPF flying out. Ruby Flight starting to take a couple of hits here, being degraded down to yellow status. Bulk Freighter here is trying to get a little bit of the action, seeing if they can't do some 450 work over here. We see it from below the map, a little bit of the 450 as well, as Scrubbus has committed onto target. Realizing the situation, they are rooming over to commit onto this big, long, kind of vertical frontline fight here.
The enemy secured zone dagger.
We see Tabby has broken off one of their wounded vessels here. The Bouin that got shot up is going to be making its way towards the C point. In turn, though, Duke of Stars completely uncontested in the backfield is going to find their way onto the D point here. Escape, electing to just hide their one asset back here while they can. 4-cap is secured for the OSP as the ANS tries to commit into this rush. Tabby going to be getting a little ahead of the pack here, as we see 2 of their ships going to be coming around the corner here. Lost Among the Forgotten Moons is going to be eating it from below here as all of these Vauxhalls open up. Vauxhalls really need to push this advantage fast. The surprise factor has kind of worn off, and they need to get some damage done and quickly. They do not have capper assets that can go around the board like the OSP has brought. There's an abundance of shuttles that can be thrown onto any point should these RPF-toting vessels not engage them. Turn, we're going to see some of the rails starting to bark out here and some 450 in turn finding the other Bouin. So this is going to be very interesting just to see how much damage they can deal before the initial kind of rush factor wears off. Lost Among the Forgotten Moons is starting to take considerable damage now, has been structure broken, so we'll see this thing go down very quickly, bringing a whole bunch of these Talisman launchers with Naganatas. That's all wasted points, but they did not know that going into the game, expecting there to be some enemy aircraft they need to shoot down. Instead, just going to be finding CLs out the wazoo.
The enemy is securing zone eclipse.
E-cap is going off as well as the C-cap here. Nothing really to threaten this capper over here. The Vauxhall here can be shot up a little bit, but there's other priorities, such as just the sheer number of Vauxhalls bearing down on this OSP frontline. Kitten Devourer is starting to take a couple of hits, but still tanking these on the nose is pretty fine for it. It needs to have that AP round to actually do any significant damage. Otherwise, we're just going to see a little bit of scratching of the paint here. Still, unlucky mag snipe going off there. It does mean that this thing cannot fire its ammo for a second. That's going to be significant. Risking it with a bulk mag like that, getting caught in the flank actually is going to be the real problem here. Unlucky roll command there as it gets shot out with that HE rounds. Still able to tank plenty of those from the front, though. Yeah, these Vauxhalls now pushing up aggressively. Escape has secured the bottom of the map. Now going to be trying to find one of Scrubbus' 450 broadsiders. These 450 broadsiders very effective when they can get on target. Crimson Flight over here looking like they got their bombs loaded. There we go. Now correctly seeing the pivot as Black Bat has loaded up the anti-capital munitions. Going to be going for a bombing run on these guys, seeing just what they can do. They got R1 rockets as well. Going to be firing off here initially, seeing what they can get done. Bunch of these going to be finding their way into the Vauxhall. Not doing too much due to the armor, but still, that's going to get broken pretty quickly. There we go. Seeing the armor break. Should see the bombing run follow up in a second. Seeing some of the KB-22s being dropped out now. See how many of these get onto target. Not seeing that much point defense fire going off here. Probably an MCON issue, does not actually have visuals. Couple of those going to miss. Still significant enough damage as the midsection is being gutted. Trying to repair that magazine right now means this shot. Yeah, this ship will not be firing a shot in anger for the immediate moment. Immediately seeing Scrubbus swinging over, trying to capitalize on that to take out the Ashen Wake. Same time, on the top of the map, we're going to see the other CL is going to be moving around here. They have cleaned up Duke of Stars 450 broadsider, so that is going to be one of the capital assets taken off the board. Hive Gender moving their way over here, trying to put down some suppression fire to the Kitten Devourer. Kitten Devourer does have its magazine back up, but does not have a fire order issued right now. Having its CIC get sniped out there is a bit of an issue as this thing... Ooh! Yes, singular reinforced CIC, singular bulk mag. Unfortunately, this thing just being heavily punished from these flanking attacks here as the relentless cavalry rush continues on. Cannot fire a shot in anger, kept active by those auxiliary steering. So excited this game, I can't speak correctly. So the Ocello is knocked out for the immediate moment. It's going to be Scrubbus holding down the front line in this situation at this time. In the backfield, Black Bat trying to get the hell out of dodge does set themselves up to go fast here, but still in kind of danger right now, being locked onto. Only a matter of time before these guns start to lay into the carrier there. They've gotten some damage done, but I think Hive Gender might swap over in a quick second here and get their guns onto that carrier and just tear it apart. See them just out of range right now, trying to do some stuff. Pantherflight back there does have air control power, but not really anything else going on right now. Duke of Stars doing some work in the backfield here, does find one of the few Corvettes. Scapegoat going to lose this thing. Unfortunately, has lost its drive right now, and the rest of the ship should follow before too long. 3-cap is secured for the ANS right now. They stepped onto the C point and felt pretty good about it. Tavi has been bruised up pretty badly, but still has one effective CL. It's doing a little bit of work against Scrubbus over here, but still Scrubbus feeling pretty good. Taking this 1v1, 450 is a more effective anti-capital caliber than the 250 over here. Also seeing the secondary batteries bark out and the ranges involved here does mean that this voxel will have a little bit of trouble dodging. Still plenty of those rounds going to be bouncing off. Yeah, Hive Gender in the backfield here has found the carrier. Black Bat has one damage control team and no restores. Going to see this thing quickly getting punished. The drive's going to get, yeah, there you go. The engine's getting shot out. It does not have the ability to keep up this kind of evasive running here. Going to see it shot down before too long. Yep, 1, 2, 3 main thrusters have been knocked out. So it will end up slowing down here before too long. Also going to see the drive taking some hits there in the hangars as well. This is effectively going to mission kill the carrier in a few minutes here, or probably in a few seconds if they keep up that rate of fire they've got going. And as spaceships rotating over, providing a little bit of suppression fire. Scrub is trying to go to ground right now. We see the Pandemonium taking some significant damage as all of that 250 can open up on it. Triple Vox is brutal when it comes down to applying a whole bunch of damage really quickly here to a singular soft target like this. Take a look at the top of the map. We see the Kitten Devourer over here has managed to get itself back active, has the CIC back up, has the bulk magazine once again, starting to let rip with some of that 450. Rails as well going to start doing some significant work over here. First shots do go a little bit wide there, still seeing those fire counts kind of tick up, as well as the ship just losing a lot of its damage control teams. 5 teams and 0 restores on this thing currently, so it will be suffering heavily as all those criticals add up. So there's a lot of frontline power here that the ANS has levered. They have not lost any of their capitals truly right now. 1, 2, 3 of them have been bruised up respectively, but in turn, the OSP is kind of on the run. Their Ocello here does not show it on the damage control board, really, but these modules here, these can be quite vulnerable, especially as we had seen earlier. 450 does pretty good work against these CLs, though. The Blue here just taking a relentless pounding from all of these large caliber guns, being caught in the flank by the rails and the 450 from the Ocello there, as well as having to keep its nose towards Scrubbus with the Pandora. That's actually going to be a kill there as we see it finally, a critical mass of firepower breaking through all of this thing and its restores. Tavi electing to double back one of the Bues over towards this A point, doing very well, trying to see off some of these shuttles as those RPF rounds are quite good at hitting those lighter targets. In turn, though, we see Hive Gender is over here just picking away at some of the fighters that tried doing a run at them, kind of faking them out. The Heart of Venus is still alive here, trying its best to get out of dodge. We see it is slowing down once again. Does actually live here. It's quite surprising, honestly. Just, yeah, towing the line of that 8-kilometer range. I think Hive Gender just needs to step on the pedal, commit onto this target, and then see if they can get that kill off or not. They are only going about 15 meters a second there, so had to think twice for a quick second, clear out one of the radar tugs there, and then just kind of move on from there. OSP is approaching that halfway point of the game. ANS just shy of the 300-point marker right now. This is quite interesting, as again, this is the all-in strategy. You see this sometimes with other assets such as Axfords or battleships or something, just expecting the enemy not to be prepared for you to go all in on this, thinking that they're going to have to deal with some other mixed threats. As we saw earlier, some things like Arbiter Flight here has been outfitted with the anti-capital payload, but initially, all those planes were sent up to expect enemy air control power to have to be fought for. So it takes them a little bit of time to respond. Now we're going to see the proper response as OSP has realized what the game plan is. Scrub is going to be relentless with this 450 Bulger here, just applying damage into this bleh. Midsection is going to take some hits there pretty quickly. This is very likely to get shot out by that 450, assuming he is not dodging. Duke of Stars in the backfield over here going to be providing, it looks like, a pinpoint lock on for one of those, if I had to guess. Not sure exactly which one. Not you, and there it is. Yes, pinpoint lock going to be on this thing. Very nice usage of the light capper assets there to provide the fire control radar lock for the big guns that the OSP wants to levy onto targets right now. Still, though, Scrub is in for a world of hurt as Internet spaceships over here and Scapegoat, both of them arming a kind of cavalry flank. That is 2 fleets worth of Voxels about to run up on the Pandemonium and say what for. This thing has already taken some damage earlier in the game. Its damage control teams are a little bit taxed. Only 5 of them on this thing against this much firepower. Going to be very scary. Seeing them now rotate over. Pandemonium is not going to be caught with its pants down. Going to get an initial salvo out there into the I'm going to call this the Clio. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that one. Still, though, there's more Voxel where that came from, and the reload cycle on these guns is going to be kicking in now, so they'll have to take about 50 seconds or so to recycle. They might not have that time, as now just all the Voxel is going to be opening up on target there. Let's take a look in the backfield here. Yep, Hivegender going to be finding their prey, bearing down on the Heart of Venus. Already loses one of its hangar banks here. Other ones are currently looking like they've been emptied of pretty much all fighter craft. Everything you see up right now is what is. Arbiter going to be coming down here trying to get onto some of these Voxels, but still there's a lot of Voxel over here, so their overlapping PD nets may be sufficient. There's another flight of bombers here. Yeah, Hot Rod coming in here for the fighter bomber role. R1s and KB-22s trying to find one of these stragglers, see if they do or not. Radar is severely lacking on the OSP side, as they are just not having that many assets left on the board right now to detect things. They do have all these shuttles, but they're having to try and hide from the kind of initial area around these capital craft. They have these backpacks of Naganas and the 250 RPF guns. Here comes the Perch rocket spam. Gonna take a look at the Ashen Wake as it eats it from behind there. A bunch of Perch rockets going to be finding Purchase as they try and go through. A bunch of the KB-22s going off now after a couple evasions were forced by Naganatas, kind of staggering these out. Looks like point defense will take out the better part of those. Bomber's going to be trying to get close. A couple of those will find their way in, doing some decent damage here. Do see the Whiplash drive has been knocked out and the center stack has been fully redded, but still, that's not quite the kill yet. A couple more Perch rockets and Bomb's going to be trying to find their way in, see if these will get through or not. These last KB-22s might be it. Let's see. Defenders from the wingmen, they're going to shoot that down. The ship does survive. It can repair itself, has lost quite a few things. Ooh, one last one there just before I... You know what? Caster's Curse is going to be what Caster's Curse is. Anyways. Pandemonia over here going to be trying to focus down the ship that they know is wounded, see if they can take one off the table there. OSP into the third quarter now at 546 points, 384 on the board for the ANS. ANS trying to make their way back onto the C point here. Dukastar is doing a good job preserving their lighter capper assets. Anytime that there's an opportunity created, they will be able to step onto a point here. OSP realizing the situation and deciding, okay, we know how to handle this. We've seen Voxels before. Let's just hold down the trigger on one target, put it in the dirt, and then move on from there. Maintain our cap control as long as we can. We know they don't have Corvettes to get around places. We know they're strong in their critical mass, but we can counter this correctly if we do it right. That said, though, the Pandemonium over here is currently drived. It is able to get back up now with the yard drive, but that yard drive still is going to be focused down. Structure break goes through there, so all of this 250 HE is going to be doing crippling damage to the Pandemonium. Yeah, all of these Voxels, again, can do some serious damage. Back over here, we can see Dukastars moves onto the E point to do that recap in the backfield. Hot Rod Flight does still have one bomb and like a Perch rocket or two. Might be able to try and do something. Hivegender has cleared up their flank respectively. Blackback kind of mission killed here. They still have some bombs, but like the sheer number of craft that have gone down this game and the fact that this carrier is so wounded already means they will not be able to build up the critical mass it needs to really get through the point defense networks anytime soon, as well as all these different fighters just kind of being stuck around the map here, getting picked off by RPF rounds left, right, and center. Hivegender leaves one behind on the B point here and then is going to be moving around trying to see what they can reinforce into. See, Flynn up top here, the Kitten Devourer is still active right now, but again, that bulk mag, it is a risk that you can try and mitigate somewhat by keeping your bow onto the enemy, but with this many different assets that attack you from so many different angles, it is something that can be punished. Scrubbers' Pandemonium still technically alive over here. All the cap points being contested at this current point in time. Pandora over here is eating a couple of shots, trying to get onto the Buen. We see it now aligning its guns. Little bit of an awkward angle as we see it now trying to fire over there. I think that Tavi has this thing trying to be evasive. Question mark. Nope, looks like Iz just finished its move orders. Unfortunately, going to be eating those shots in the nose. Does not have a lock, though, from these nearby these nearby shuttle wings as they had to drift off ever so slightly. Still, though, the cap's going to be flipping pretty well here. ANS does take some cap advantage here now, securing the D point and the B point. Top on the map we see on the C side here, the Buen does not currently have any offensive capability, has the guns, but does not have the ammunition to fire them, unfortunately, so this will stay neutral until another ship can go and relieve this point. Goes to show the value of having little cappers like this, just with a even harmless looking things can bite size 1 arming missile. All right, let's take a look around here. So yeah, 3 cap is secured for the ANS. They are looking pretty good. Now we're seeing internet spaceships rotating one of their ships over towards that E point, trying to pick off one of these shuttles here. We'll see if they do get it or not. They can secure that 4 cap and then sit pretty comfortably on that. Pandemonium does go down here, so that is going to be 2 bulkers killed on the OSP side. Reactor Bloom from one of the Buens over here. Likely going to cook Pandora. We'll go back into first-person mode in a second before that thing is going to fully blind us. Another Reactor Bloom back there is the Nessus from Scrubbers is going to go crit. Let's take a look. Yep. Fully stripped the armor on this. Now, importantly, bulk freighters can be hurt by 250 HE, but now these things can be hurt by RPF rounds, which means you can kill off those damage control teams incredibly quickly. Kid Devourer over here is going to be found in the flank by all of the Vauxhalls, now ripping into it with those 250 AP rounds, expecting it to have the armor facing towards it, but instead now they're just going to be punching out these various modules. Yeah, bulk magazine goes down. It will not fire another shot in anger. CIC snipe is on the way as well. Still, though, this thing is now currently harmless and only a matter of time before it is collected on. A couple of rails are going to be finding their way into the Justice of Torin over here, but at the same time, that rail cello has been doing like decent work this game, trying to get some shots into targets, but unfortunately just this rush has been so fast, they've not been able to build up the sufficient number of crits and focus fire that they wanted to really have the effect on target there. Is a bit of the risk you take taking a 3k backline asset like this and pairing it with another kind of like, say this is 1500 or so point backline asset, give or take. So yeah, a lot of the backline play, not expecting this to full all-in rush strategy here, and Anna's kind of getting away with it for the moment. E point is going to be flipping here in a second, as we saw down below here. The Triodia is going to be seeing off, what's this little T-20 shuttle? Not much that can really do against that. Can contest the point for a second until those RPF rounds start finding impact, but CL will beat a shuttle there if it is given the time to not be reinforced by the other assets, such as the Pandora that could be moving over here. See if Pandora is able to get on target or if it's engaging other things. Justice of Torin up top is going to be taking some hits there. Okay, that's a critical amount of fire. Starting to see, again, those rail rounds very effective down the nose of these capital ships, especially the long, thin hull of the CL. CL is continuing to fire into the Kitten Devourer, not realizing it has been declawed earlier on. Mercy of Calor over here is going to hit it from the flank. OSP potentially could go for a back cap here. The Heart of Venus with Blackback is still technically active here with its drive. Still, main thrusters have been shot out, so it'll take its sweet time to get onto that point. E-point contestation goes on here. You can see on the A-point here, the Bwe is still alive and active. Now is firing those RPF rounds, like I mentioned, trying to go for that damage control team kill, seeing all the damage being split across this, looking to see if they can hit these teams when they're repairing components, getting that RPF crit rate off, see if they're able to go through with that or not. C-point could be reinforced up top here. We're going to see if Hive Gender switches their targets over. Yes, they do, realizing that shuttle is the only thing keeping them from capping. They're going to be unloading into that with a CL's worth of firepower. Singular damage control team will likely get shot out here, or the Sun Drive will get broken. Rail cell around the map now has done a full 180-degree rotation into the ANS's deploy zone. Gonna see, again, just CL's now splitting out across the map, looking at what targets they can isolate and eliminate. They have taken out a good chunk of the OSP's assets here. Carrier has been effectively deplaned. Dukastar's lost one of their 450 bulkers. Scrub has lost one of theirs. The Pandora is still alive and active, and honestly, the only combat-capable frontline ship really for the OSP at this time. It is currently suffering from all of the damage dealt to it. Magazine does get redded out there, but the bulk mag, the reinforced mag in the front will keep it firing active. Justice of Torin here takes a lot of damage. Again, the CLs here, they are getting bled down pretty well, but ANS, I think that as long as they can secure these caps, they have got this one pretty good. They just need to clear out this C point here. Duke of Stars does lose the arming missile on this thing and is still technically alive, but Hive Gender needs to commit onto target. Looks like they are instead electing to go after something else here, possibly just a heading and roll issue. They're trying to fire, I believe, on that shuttle, but it's not currently aligning onto it. Pandora over here, again, just the 450 guns, very effective against these CLs, trying to do some work on these things. Justice of Torin is effectively mission killed here. Yep, no restores for that magazine. This thing is just barely alive with its aux steerings and CICs. Now losing the CIC there. Will only be a short time before that 450 really kills off this ship proper. E-point down here again. We're seeing the CL trying to see off these ships, but still, Duke is doing a good job keeping these things dangerously close, making it so the guns don't quite have the traversal they want, trying to play ring around the rosy here, keep the ship alive just a little bit longer in order to have reinforcing flights of shuttles come over. Shuttles with the T-20s can do a little damage using those AP rounds to punch through the armor here. The wounded Vauxhall like this is able to get plinked away at, and as long as they can keep something on the point there, they can hold it. OSP just has to hold on with a 2-cap here. C-cap is going to start going through now. Finally, RPF round's going to be clearing off the naked shuttle here, so that will be a 4-cap looking like for the ANS team. Seeing them fly back now as we approach the fourth quarter here. 738 on the board to 622. E-point contestation continues down there, but if we take a look at the B points, the C point, A points, and D points, that is all going into the hands of the ANS, and what does OSP have to contest it? ANS pretty happy to keep a singular Vauxhall on these points and just wait out the rest of the game. Duke of Stars is in position to try and move stuff here, but what is there to give an opening? The only combat-capable ship really for the OSP right now was the Kitten Railer, which has not got enough to really cripple these Vauxhalls. In turn, it's getting shot up pretty well here by the Vauxhalls from various different angles. There was originally the, where was it? It was the Pandemonium and the Lost Among Forgotten Moons. Ooh, rocket strike going off in the background there. Jackal Flight is able to get airborne with some of their rockets, trying to go for a strike here. Might get some bombs on a target. This is still a healthy Vauxhall that is going to have its point defense active and will be seeing off those bombs before they find impact. Nice attempt here, but is going to be defending this B point in case that carrier wanted to come up. Kit and Devour here is trying to do some stuff, but does not have the angle or the magazine to do anything about it. Their drive is currently disabled. They were making their way over towards the B point. A little bit of flanking shots coming in here, though. Still, Scrub is refusing to give up the ghost as they did not hear any bell. They'll be trying to do whatever they can with the Pandora, the lone 450 broadside bulker that is keeping the front line alive. Actually, it's the only front line alive on the OSP side here. E-point contention goes on. OSP is in the fourth quarter now. Still, though, ANS with that 4 cap advantage going to be filling up the bar very quickly here. I think that they might just have this one at this stage. OSP needs to make a play happen. They're trying to go over here and secure that B point, but still the 3 cap will accelerate the ANS pretty far. RPF rounds being fired off here. Communication is key. Once again, showing that the team recognizing that, hey, this target has been armor stripped. We can get RPF rounds into it. Let's affect those. Yep, there we go. OSP electing to throw it in the towel, deciding that, yes, we have had enough. We recognize the situation. GG is called. Wow, the mass Vauxhall rush going in here. 11 Vauxhalls and 2 Corvettes is the strategy, all in push on one side. Could have been a little faster in some ways, but still they were trying to avoid overextending there. Got to show off just what happens when you put all your eggs in one basket and the enemy team does not expect it. Good stuff there from Team 1. The Colon 3 does take game 1 here, so we're going to mark that one down. Anyways, for those watching you on YouTube, let's go through these fleet stats real quick. Just, yeah, decent bit of damage dealt by all of these Vauxhalls here. Some of them just taking a beating on the approach, but other ones just, yeah, sweeping through the lines here. OSP getting deep play, not expecting this kind of stuff. Duke Star is doing a good job keeping their assets alive, but still, that all-in rush, very relentless there and committing onto that flank to go for that strong push. Anyways, I've been NekoboyBlue. Pandora does just shy of 20k damage. I will see you all in the next one. Meow meow. Round 2.